Okay, now we have finished the cardinal lines, the north, south, east, and west line, and we have done the encompassing line of the spiral line. We've been looking at the lines that go through the trunk, and we've been carrying them down into the legs because the legs in a human being offer support. The lines also carry out into the arms, and because our shoulders are more specialized for mobility rather than stability, the arm lines crisscross a lot, so they are not as exact as the ones going through the legs. So we're going to go through 4 lines here fairly quickly. There's a superficial front line, a deep front line, a superficial back line, and a deep back line, and we'll be going through them fairly rapidly to keep the tape within bounds here. So watch carefully. At no time do my hands leave my wrists. So starting with the deep back line of the arm, we start again with the rhomboids. The rhomboids carry us right over, the same way as they did on the spiral line, over to the medial border of the scapula, but this time we keep on going out the scapula, and we take up with the infraspinatus and teres minor, and we could be going also from the levator scapulae and the supraspinatus. You can take this line in one of several ways, and come out onto the greater tubercle of the humerus, where we join in with the head of the tricep going down the arm. Now this looks like a rapid change in direction, which would be breaking the anatomy train's rules, but if you look at the arm in any kind of extension, you can see how this line is one long line. And that's going to carry us down to the olecranon of the elbow, right here, which is part of the ulna bone. So we go down right along the periosteum of the ulna here, off the styloid process, and on to the outside edge of the arm. And we'll trim this guy off, and there you can see the deep back line of the arm. So the superficial back line of the arm, which we'll do over here on the other side, starts from the trapezius, which is of course the most superficial muscle in this part of the body. So we could start from here, from here, from here, from here, from here, but let's just start it from the head for convenience. And we would have the trapezius going over to here on the acromion process and the clavicle, and who takes off right from there. You could almost call it the trapezio-deltoid muscle, because that goes over the top here and down onto the deltoid tubercle. And as you can see in the anatomy shot, from the deltoid tubercle, although it's interrupted by the head of the triceps, we come down the intermuscular septum here, the lateral intermuscular septum, to the lateral epicondyle, which you can feel right there, just above the elbow. And that takes us on to the extensor muscles of the back of the hand, which carry down underneath the retinaculum here, same as the ones do at the ankle. I suppose we could cut that off at the end of the fingers. And what you could see here is the superficial back line of the arm. The simple stretch works for the back of the arm lines. If your client leans back with the arms laterally rotated, you get a nice stretch on the superficial back line of the arm. If the client leans back with the arms medially rotated, you can feel it going right through the rotator cuff and the rhomboids in the back of the scapula there. Now let's turn our attention to the front lines of the arm. First, the deep front line of the arm. The deep front line, starting from the front of the body, would include the pectoralis minor muscle, not the major, which would come up here to the coracoid process, that little piece of the shoulder, the scapula that sticks through to the front. And here we turn and go down on the coracobrachialis towards the arm, and again, that looks as though it breaks the anatomy train's rules, but if you look at the arm when it's stretched out, or if you are hanging from a branch, you can see that this complex of myofasciae are what hold the arm to the chest, which is a good idea when you're swinging from branch to branch and suddenly, boom, landing on that branch with the whole weight of your body. So next time you're swinging from branch to branch, you can be grateful to your pectoralis minor, which helps hold your shoulder onto, helps hold the rest of your body onto your shoulder in that instance. Now, coming out here, we pick up the brachialis and the supinator the way we showed you when we were looking at expresses and locals, and that carries us down onto the radius. We could also do that with the biceps if we were taking the express. Coming down here onto the radius and out the periosteum of the radius, over the styloid process, and onto the thumb side. So if you look, you can see very clearly that the thumb side of your body is connected up through the radius, through the inner part of the arm, to the inside of the chest on the pectoralis minor muscle. For those of you who are watching who are shiatsu people, who use your thumbs, when you press down on your thumb and really put weight on your body, it's got to come up and through and meet your chest here. If you are pressing on your thumb and you're taking it into your back, you're asking for trouble, and so are your clients if they do something like that. If you follow the anatomy train's lines, you'll see where the tension has to go to make it integrate into the body. Okay, so now let's go look at the superficial front line of the arm. The superficial front line of the arm starts with several familiar muscles. You have the pectoralis major in the front coming this way, but you also, strangely enough, again, I say the arms are really diverse because they're so mobile, you also have the latissimus coming in from the back. Now, latissimus dorsi means the widest muscle of the back, but I'm sorry, it feeds into the superficial front line of the arm. Latissimus, teres major, and pectoralis all together, but I'll represent it with this line from the pectoralis major, come into the humerus here in the intertubercular groove, where you can get from there with them onto the medial intermuscular septum, from this division here between the flexors of the arm and the extensors of the arm, and carry down onto the medial epicondyle of the elbow, which you can feel right here on the inside. And as you go down from that, you get right onto the flexors of the arm, that whole common flexor tendon, which takes you down through the carpal tunnel and into the palm of the hand, like that. So this, if we look at how you stretch these two lines of the arm, the front lines of the arm, the superficial front line goes from the palm, up the front of the arm, up the inside, and on to the pectoralis major. The deep front line of the arm comes from the thumb, up the radius, up the biceps and the muscles underneath it, and into the pectoralis minor. So the superficial front arm line starts with the pectoralis and the other muscles, comes down the inside of the arm to the medial epicondyle, gets onto the flexor group, and ends up on the palm side of the hand. As I say, the arm lines, if you look through here and you hold me to all the detail, you'll find that there are exceptions to the lines. Things cross more than they do in the legs, and that's because the arms are really designed for mobility. Here's a simple stretch for the superficial front line of the arm. You let the client lean forward, bringing their breastbone forward, and you turn the arms so that they're laterally rotated to the edge of comfort of the client. To stretch the deep front line, do the same stretch, but with the arms medially rotated.